Everyone knows rotary engines are weird, loud, tiny, and insanely fun, but they're also rare, or so we think. Mazda perfected the rotary, but they weren't the only ones who tried it. In this video, we're counting down 5 unexpected machines that secretly used rotary engines, from forgotten family cars to futuristic prototypes you've probably never heard of. Get ready, this list will definitely surprise you. Citroen GS Birotor. Citroen isn't a name that would typically come up whenever anyone starts talking about automakers that experimented with the rotary engine. But the classically quirky French brand did think it could potentially be the future of motoring. As a result, it produced a couple of fully working rotary engine cars to test things out. One of them was the GS Birotor, which featured a 1.0-liter twin rotor that was a result of a joint venture between Citroen and NSU. This engine produced 106 horsepower, and thanks to its very small size, it didn't cost as much to tax as its rivals under French road tax laws of the time. They were determined by engine displacement. It had Citroen's famed hydro-pneumatic suspension and the Citromatic 3-speed semi-automatic transmission that was used in the larger Citroen DS. The GS Birotor was only produced from 1973 to 1975, selling poorly. It was the same price as the DS, and the 1973 oil crisis meant that people weren't willing to buy a less economical rotary engine car that cost more money. The limited number that were made almost didn't survive to the present day either. When Peugeot bought Citroen and merged the company into PSA, it tried to buy back and scrap all the GS Birotors so that it wouldn't have to support them with spare parts. A bunch of stubborn collectors refused, and they managed to keep hold of their cars. This was despite them not being able to get titles for them for many years because of PSA not wanting to acknowledge they even existed. NSU R80. The second of NSU's revolutionary rotary engine cars, the R80 was decades ahead of its time. It had a modern, aerodynamic body, a futuristic semi-automatic transmission, and that 1-liter twin-rotor engine that had already been used in the Wankel Spider. It also had fully independent suspension that was designed in a similar way to what you'd see on modern cars, MacPherson struts at the front and semi-trailing arms at the rear, and power steering is standard. As brilliant as the R80 was, that brilliance came with a cost. These cars quickly developed a reputation for being horrendously unreliable. The particular culprit for that was the rotary engine. It was notorious for its apex seals failing, and even when those problems were mostly fixed, NSU still offered very generous warranties as damage control. Many frustrated owners just gave up and had the rotary swapped out for the Ford V4 engine, which was only one of the other engines on the market that could fit into the front of the R80. That may have made the R80 more dependable and easier to fix, but it robbed it of its unique rotary-engined character. When this car's production ended in 1977, the NSU brand died with it. Mazda Road Pacer AP. The Mazda Road Pacer AP has to be one of the strangest collaborations in automotive history. It's a rebadged and re-engined version of the Holden Premier, with its inline-6 and V8 engine options replaced by Mazda's 13B. This means that technically it's the only General Motors production car to ever be fitted with a rotary engine. It was also luxuriously equipped for a 70 sedan. This included central locking that would automatically lock the car at above 6.2 miles per hour, a dictation system, and a radio that could be controlled by the rear seat passengers as well as up at the front. The 13B was underpowered compared to the standard Holden engines, meaning that the Road Pacer AP didn't perform as well as it should have done. It only had a top speed of 103 miles an hour, and its fuel consumption was absolutely abysmal at 9 miles per gallon. That gave the Mazda Road Pacer AP too many downsides compared to its conventionally engined rivals, and it sold very poorly as a result. If you ever come across one of these, you found a car that's rarer than a lot of supercars. Mercedes-Benz C111. If you're familiar with the world of weird supercar prototypes, you'll likely have already heard of the Mercedes-Benz C111. Several C111s were built, and they all had different powertrains. This included two that had rotary engines. The C111i had a 3-rotor engine, and the C111-2 had a bigger and more powerful 4-rotor one. Both were developed in-house by Mercedes-Benz, and the 4-rotor engine produced 349 horsepower. This was apparently good enough to take the C111-2 up to a top speed of 186 miles per hour. Mazda Parkway AP. You might be familiar with rotary engines powering cars by this point, but did you know that there was once a bus that had a rotary engine option? Well, for a brief time, Mazda could sell you the Parkway minibus with the legendary 13B. This engine was only available from 1974 to 1977, being replaced after that point by a more conventional diesel engine. The rotary-engined Parkways that survive now are highly prized and are sometimes turned into crazy builds.